Hello, welcome to the ArtCenter panel here at Lightbox. My name is Anna Field from Chair of Illustration. I'm here today with three wonderful what we're going to do is we're going to address the subject of storytelling. And I was thinking about this and I thought storytelling is something that we as creators can own. It is art. We can bring the story to the client, to our job at the studio, to our own projects we want to develop. And nothing we can take that away from us is the thing that we is the driving force behind what we do. But I was also thinking sometimes it's not having a preset idea in your mind. It's about having just one little thing that you're interested in that you want to make an image of. And then from that grows the idea of turning it into a story. And through that, you develop your own abilities to think and tell a story. And then through that, you get to be able to talk about your work with confidence beyond just the fact that it looks great or interesting or something that's unique to you. So I think that in this world where every type of business talks about their story or their storytelling, it's up to us as artists to reclaim storytelling as being a topic that is purely ours, that originated with art and design and will continue to flourish. And your generation is the one that's going to take it into the future.
Yeah.
So we have confidence in this one thing that we know that we can own, and it's really ours. And what we're going to do today is ask the same three questions of each of these artists, and they're going to address the question and also give examples through showing their work of how storytelling has grown in their work, how they've learned to use it as a tool, whether they're working for a particular client or whether they're developing their own property. And also the importance of a through line in storytelling so that they learn to develop almost a character for the entire body of their own work, so that your work becomes, oh, that's Paul's work, that's Joe's work, that's Bijou's work. There's a distinctive quality to each of them, even though they're going to show you many projects today. And I feel that that ends up being a bigger story about how the individual as an artist creates your only story for a client, but their own story about their approach to their work. So please give a very warm welcome to our first guest, Paul Rogers.
Is it working?
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out early. I was expecting like 5 people. You're my any of your students of mine from ArtCenter. I'm sorry you've heard all these stories before. Hold this closer to my mouth.
Yes.
All right. So the questions we have here are, what do you love about illustration? What I love about it is it's different every day for me, right? I've been an illustrator since I graduated from ArtCenter in 1980. That's back in the 1900s, right? And I get different kinds of assignments according to. I never really know. It's a total mystery how anyone ever gets an assignment as an illustrator, really, to me.
Yes,
right?
Come out of nowhere.
You try to focus on places you think people would use your work and try to contact those people. But other calls come out of the blue, and so for some reason I've been in business since 1980. People have been calling, and one of the reasons I think they call is because I'm versatile. I've done a lot of things, and when there's samples, they tend to find something in my work. But one of the things that happens is people come to me and then they say, we love your work, we want you to do something, and then they say, we love these 5 pieces from your portfolio, and all 5 pieces are totally different, right? And then I'm like, well, I don't know now. I don't know, what do they like? I don't know.
Is there something in my work?
Yeah, is there something in my work that is clicking with them, and then I just think, well, I can do whatever I want then because they just like everything, right? Then I find out after I've done something, that's not what they want. That happens a lot too. So with illustration, you always have other people involved. somehow you've got to have a client, somebody who wants to call you and say, we need an illustration, and we don't have a photograph, we don't have a radio, we can't, somehow we want you to get the message to our audience. And so, God bless them, they think, we got to hire an illustrator on this one, right?
Yeah, I feel the guy because you're really good with humor, you're really good with shape and design, but it's more than that, right?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I've been doing this a long time, but it's always a mystery, right? I mean, it's like every call I get, I'm like, whoa, that's good. Now it's an email, right? It used to be people actually called us on the phones, we still say a call, but now it's just, it's only an email. And if you look at my portfolio, you'll see there's a wide range of things. So I think I'm sort of known for being able to pluck things from recent history and reissue them in a maybe a little bit of a contemporary twist, right?
Is that something you were interested in, naturally?
Yeah, it's something I was interested in naturally.
Yeah.
But the truth is, when I was in school, all I wanted to do, I thought, it'd be cool to have my drawings in magazines. I didn't know how to do it or how that went about. So ArtCenter, my education at ArtCenter gave me the framework to figure that out. And then, but still, it seems like a total mystery, right? And then sometimes I just do something, I just get an idea and I just do it myself. And like this was just like, I realized they never did a poster at Disneyland for House of the Future, right? This Monsanto House of the Future that was there in the 60s. I'm like, this should be a poster, so I just did it, right? It's like, put it in the portfolio.
Is
Right?
that like your own school?
Yeah, I live in a house just like that.
Yeah.
But then sometimes people, like this was for Brad Bird for the Incredibles. And I've known Brad for a little while, and he calls up and he needs something. I need something that looks like it came from World War II, or I need something that looks like so. So this was a thing where the project was already going on, characters were all existing, and it was a prop, which I thought would be in the background for 1 second and turned into more. But so, you never know. Like, there's a lot of, I work in a few different styles, and I try to look at what's the assignment, what can I do, and what part of history maybe can I bring to this as a springboard for that, right? See, it's on. I just keep going, right? So this is for this. I mean, I'll just tell you, this was a postage stamp for jazz music. The only thing they wanted were the letters JAZZ, and it was good, so I was open for that. This is a poster for Leve, a fantastic young singer who, making things. I found her on, just like most people did. I found her on Instagram or YouTube or whatever when she was brand new. And she's doing something fantastic. So you can see there's different projects: pulp, Hollywood, sports, different things. This I'm very proud of. This cover for the New Yorker. This was the thing I was going to draw this anyway. Like I have this picture on my desktop of Jacques Tati, one of my favorites, and I was just going to draw it anyway. And then I was reading that day about the Olympic torch making the rounds in Paris. Now, that'd be funny if Tati was carrying the torch. So I drew it out with the torch, and then I was like, this would make a good New Yorker cover. I'm going to send it in and see if they use it. And I've sent things in before, and on this one, it was like, they call back right away. Sometimes you hear nothing. You say, I work for the New Yorker a lot, so it's not like I'm just nobody sending stuff in. But then this one was like, no one was more surprised than me that they were like, we want to put this on cover. And it was just one of those things, and I talk about this with my students all the time. Do the thing you're going to do anyway, right? There's projects you have in your head, there's stuff you like. Start making those things, because those are the things that turn into other things. And people respond to you when they see that you're into it, right? The thing you love is now on the screen in front of them, and there's some connection between you and that thing and the viewer. So I've done like theater posters, storytelling. I did some comics for the New Yorker. This is a comic, one-page comic, and the same thing. I had the idea. This is a story about Paul Desmond and Audrey Hepburn, the sweet little Valentine's Day story. And so I sent this in, and totally shocked when they said, we're going to run it, right? And so these were things, and this one was about Picasso getting arrested for the theft of the Mona Lisa, true story. And so these little bits of history, I'm like, that would make a great comic. I'm going to send it in, and then they say, we're going to run it. No one is more surprised than me, because the thing didn't exist. spend a few days working on it, send it in, and then it's like, we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it.
But I
But,
was getting a thread a little bit more is that, you're also truly an LA illustrator. I think you love film, theatre, jazz. You're interested in history that has some kind of, not just war history, but actually how it changed culture, and then that comes into your work too.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to weave it into one of the projects.
yeah, you read a little story, and you're like, I can tell that little story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's sometimes the client gives you a story. They're like, can you do this is a travel company, travel clothing. You have a shirt for summer. Can you make a swimming pool in shape of a shirt? Yes. That's the story. Red Shoes, one of my favorite movies. This is a total fan poster. This is for rock and roll. When I got out of school, all I wanted to do was records, right? It was the 80s. They were still vinyl, 12 by 12 inch, right? It was something that was like illustration. Something all illustrators wanted to do. And I got no work. I got no work because I realized I was taking my little portfolio around to all the record labels. I had a very nice art school portfolio, but now I was competing with all of my heroes, people I admired. They were all working on records. My work wasn't up there. I had to make a bunch of new pieces, right? But eventually it came around. So that's another thing. You think you're all right when you're in school, and then you get out in the real world and you're like, oh, it's cold out there, right? It's a lot rougher out here than I thought it was going to be, right? And if you're like me, you got nothing else to fall back on, except let me just make some more pieces, let me try to raise the level of that.
So do you generate your own sort of story-led ideas just through things like the Disney person? That was something,
Yeah.
Some person about that, I was going to pick this big piece and explore that.
Right.
Talk about that with clients or something.
Yeah, and even if it doesn't ever turn into something for Disney, it just turns into something that people think of, and it could lead to other kind of projects.
Yes.
You just never know, right?
Yeah.
So having the nerve to just make something and move on is this was something they didn't like at the New York. They asked for a portrait of Steven Spielberg, and I made a silhouette with all these little drawings of Spielberg movies. No one liked it.
They didn't like it.
Didn't fly. Did not fly. So, but it's like you can see, there's just like stuff. I like stuff. I like old stuff. I like to imitate someone who's dead. Like I like to look at you look at Aurelius Battaglia, a great story, a children's book illustrated from the 50s. I'm going to try to imitate him on this assignment, right? Because also this is a freebie for Woody Guthrie Folk Festival. So when you're getting paid nothing, you can do whatever you want. No one's going to sue you either, right? Right? It's going to be like you get $0. Christmas cards for myself. So what makes illustration good or successful? When you get paid, when everybody's happy and the check clears, that's a good, successful illustration, right? I worked for a company called Salesforce, a tech company up in San Francisco, and we inherited these horrible characters. They were already at the design by the time we showed up. I worked with my oldest friend, Matt Halligman, and I met first day of ArtCenter, Communication Design 1, and we've been friends ever since. And Matt was the art director on this project. And we had to try to figure out what to do with these kind of badly designed characters that everybody in the company loved. Right? So, and they had this idea that national park settings, and they had these big events where they take over Moscone Center, and there's murals, and there's 3D sort of setups, and so how do you spread that stuff throughout a project and a big client in the tech world and make it human and make it friendly? So these are all illustrations that were done for about maybe 4 or 5 years worth of this conference. And it's the same thing. If I'm looking at history, trying to figure out what can I do, and then what can I do that relates to the project that this one is talking about. And then I actually came to kind of like the characters a little bit. A little bit. But and the other thing is, if you're an illustrator and you're making your living a quarter page at a time through editorial assignments, you're not making a lot of money. And then when you get into the advertising world, if you get lucky and there's a big campaign and you're going to be doing like 100 posters, you suddenly love that company, right? You're like, this is the greatest company ever. I love everything they do.
The tools for the sales force, because you have to create these big environments, convention centers like this.
There was a whole team.
How do you keep the theme and the story going, and how do you keep it interesting? Were you looking at old national park designs?
Yeah, we started.
Vintage illustration, which you actually use as characters and put them in an environment A that you love to draw. So again, this is a story, this is just
Yeah, I mean, I need to go back and run out of time. But the idea started off to be national park kind of posters, but these characters kind of became more and more important, so it kind of had to turn into almost animated, classic animation background.
okay, so the characters became.
But when these characters became central, then it became more background. Storytelling is important to me. This is a project I did. This goes back to what I was saying. Do a project. You have an idea in your head. It's not going to happen unless you do it. And so this is a book idea I had. I want to do a book about jazz music, portraits of 26 jazz musicians, one for each letter of the alphabet.
And you like jazz?
I love jazz music. And so, one thing I know, kids love books with art label. Right? Kids love art label.
Okay.
Right? They love Charlie Parker. Kids love Charlie Parker too. Right? This book's going to sell. This is a great idea, right? What kid doesn't love Sonny Rollins? Right? They all should. These kids should, right? I hope somewhere they're gonna check these things out. So this is a book I did. I started as just a side project to work on in between other projects, and it took me a few years to make 26 paintings. And then I've been friends with jazz musician Wynton Marsalis for a long time, and Wynton wrote 26 poems. And once Wynton was on board, then publishers were like, "Let's do it." Right? So that happened. But it was one of these things I'm very, very proud of, because it was a project that didn't exist, and I had no publisher when I started. I had no way to know, this could end up in a drawer and never see the light of day. But it was one of those projects that turned out exactly the way I wanted it. Took a long time to get it done, but I'm very proud. So I think my time's up.
We have the illustrious Jerry Jones. We're going to do musical chairs up here, so forgive us, runners. So it's Creed.